Hi, this is David Bird. I am going to demonstrate an issue I found using document caches. Anyway, I had a customer that I tried to do multiple document caches and lookups, basically. And what happened was I got a Cartesian product of immense numbers that actually brought that server down. And so at the same time I was working with another customer that had a small set and I was able to duplicate kind of what was happening so I could actually show it in a process. And this is the process. So the first thing is, this is just a subset of a much larger process, but I have a list of projects and I need to know the number of lines that project's listed within a text file. So the first branch on this actually goes out and counts it and loads it to a cache, and then the second branch goes through each one of those records and increments them. And so what I want to do then is I have each of the projects incremented. So if project A is listed 3 times, it'll have 1, 2, 3, and then but also look up the total to know that there's 3 lines. So that when I get to record 3 and the total's 3, I know I have the last line, which is what I want to use. And so that was the reason for this map. What happened though is something wildly different. And so I'm going to run a test of this. And now you can see it works. So we're going to come up here, actually to the loaded cache, to see the source data. Source data is pretty simple. We'll look at that in a second. Okay, so paste text to columns. So you can see that there's 4 projects. This one shows up 1 time, this one shows up 6 times, 7 times, 3 times. And the actual data that it's coming from, which you can see, project 17 shows up once, 529 shows up the 6 times it says, 533 shows up 7, and the last one rounds it out with 3. So the subtotal worked. Now we want to take this data and add it to this RC2 column. And let's go back to the process, close. So now I actually want to see the data that came out of this project where it did the lookup. So notice we went, actually if you look at the source data, we went from 0.7 kilobytes to 14.41 kilobytes. And if we look at this source, notice we can't even load the whole thing to the buffer. So I'm going to download it. I don't know if I can copy it here. I might have to use TextPad. But we'll see. So now the new data coming in has, well, I expected to get about, let's see, 17 rows back. With the new number, I got 68 rows. And so if you take that 17, and the other thing we're matching up to had 4 rows, and plus that times that, we get 68, which is a Cartesian product. So what happened is it took that first row, project 17, and matched it up to each one of the totals, and then it did that for each row of the second project and the third project and the fourth project. This is not the right answer. So how do we get to the right answer? Well, close. When I looked at the documents, I noticed it says you should consider splitting the documents before you add them to the cache. Now this was kind of weird because if we go to one of my other projects, so if we clicked on one of these, this is connecting to OpenAir, and behind the scenes we're actually writing to cache. So it's taking all the bulk data from OpenAir and writing it to a document cache, doing all the work for me. Close and close. So in this case I can't do that because I'm not getting the data from the actual source connector. I'm getting it from a summarized map and loading it to cache. And the cache values, I thought the map would load record by record and handle it correctly. Well, apparently it doesn't. So what we need to do is follow this consider suggestion, which should be more strongly worded, to actually load these record by record into the cache. So I've gone ahead and done that. So now if we hit save and test and we run it, and I'm going to pause it for a second. Okay, so it finished. If we click on the split here so we can see the source data, we see that it's not 14K, it's only 3 now. And if we gather this data, you can kind of see what it was trying to do. So copy, and we go to the spreadsheet again, and this time paste. So what this was doing was, for each one of those projects, I needed to get the email addresses into one line. That's how Uber allows you to load service project codes, and you need to load the code with the list of emails. So I wanted the last record, and so by counting it the first time and now summing and doing a lookup, we know that this is the last record, that this is the last record, that this is, and that this is. So the final result is 4 rows, and that's how my other process is actually working now. So this actually returned without a Cartesian product and gave me the right set. So that's about it. Thank you very much.